If you or someone you know needs help, call 988 or 911 for troubling thoughts or immediate help, or contact the National Domestic Violence Hotline at worldwideweb.thehotline.org or call 1-800-799-SAFE. That's 1-800-799-7233. Things were so sweet when we met at first. Our days together were the very best. You were the water that quenched my thirst until our love was put to the test. I lost my temper and hurt you that day. Instead, I should have just walked away. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome once again to my channel, Stop Effing Killing. I'm your host, the MOD, also known as the Method of Delivery. If you find anything resonates with you, please like, share, and subscribe to my channel. So, today's topic is domestic violence. And the title is Walk Away. Domestic violence or suffer in silence. Domestic violence or suffer in silence. Before we get into today's topic, we're going to take a look at a short clip from a movie called Sleeping with the Enemy, starring Patrick Bergin and Julia Roberts.
Yesterday while I was in town?
Martin, I don't know the doctor.
Sure you do. Young, good looking, outfitting his sailboat down there. He says you've been staring at him from the window all day. Does it give you that much pleasure to humiliate me?
So as you can see in that clip, Patrick Bergin, the husband, he beats his wife, Julia Roberts. Patrick Bergin was such an abuser in this movie that his wife faked her own death to get away from him. Now, eventually, he does find her, and, I'm not going to go into all of the details of the movie, but the thing is, it's just a movie. At the end of that clip, at the end of that scene, the director says, cut. And, he looks at the footage, he says, okay, this is great footage, let's move on to the next scene. Or he says, I didn't like that take, let's go again. Life is not like that. There are no do-overs in life on some things. Some things you can't take back. When you decide to become a domestic abuser or an abuser with regard to intimate partner violence, you're doing things that will not only affect your partner, but yourself, you or your partner's kids, if you have kids together, or his or her children, as well as the community that you all reside in. There is a ripple effect to the things that you do as an abuser. According to the World Health Organization, 1 in 3 women suffer from physical and or sexual violence. Also, globally, 38% of all homicides involve an intimate partner. Stateside, according to the CDC, 41% of women and 26% of men suffer from intimate partner violence in their lifetime. 61 million women and 53 million men experience psychological aggression. And according to U.S. crime reports, 1 in 5 people that are killed in this country are murdered by an intimate partner. The thing is, domestic violence is a crime that is completely and utterly avoidable. It has not just physical effects, acute physical injuries, but also lingering physical injuries. Also you're looking at psychological damage, mental stress, PTSD. I mean, just all types of injury due to a person's decision to become an abuser. And abusers are not just limited to men. It could be women as well, because women sometimes are abusers. I am unfortunately familiar with the story of a same-sex couple that where one of the females unalived her partner. Not only did she unalive her partner, she tried to kill her partner's son as well. Now, Mother's Day just passed. So think about this son having to think about someone took his mother away from him through an act of violence. And the abuser, the woman who pulled the trigger on her significant other, she went to jail. So her decision to do these violent acts affected her intimate partner's family, and affected the community that they lived in. Speaking of, intimate partner violence affecting kids, think about the physical and psychological effects that it has on children. Because sometimes the children are targets of this intimate partner violence. The husband or the significant other, takes out their anger and frustration not just on their wife or girlfriend or partner, but also their kids as well, And like I said, this could be male or female, and now that child, having grown up in that environment, they take this anger, this guilt, this frustration to school. Sometimes they become bullies themselves, or sometimes they become victims because they've grown up in this violent environment, so they think that violence is normal. Then there are financial costs to domestic violence or intimate partner violence. You're talking about hospital bills, you're talking about the criminal justice system, all of the fines and fees and the lawyers and so on and so forth. You're talking about lost wages, property damage. According to the CDC, annually, domestic violence or intimate partner violence costs $3.6 trillion. $3.6 trillion. So, what are some things that people could do as a victim or as an abuser? Well, we'll start with the victim first. First, as a victim, realize that you are a victim. Realize that you are a victim. It's not your fault. There's nothing that you could have done differently. If someone chooses to victimize you, that's their choice, not yours. That's not your choice that someone chose to abuse you physically, mentally, sexually, or any other way. That's number one. So, number two, you need to leave your abuser. You need to leave him and never go back. You can forgive and you can forget, but don't go back. Just realize that if you stay in that environment, you're choosing to stay in that environment. There are a lot of organizations out there, some of which I will list in the description, that helps victims of abuse, especially when it comes to women and children. But leaving that abuser is not just for women, it's men as well. Because men get abused, men get unalived by their intimate partners, male or female. It happens there, all across the spectrum. There is no particular race or sex or age or socioeconomic status or religious affiliation or political preference. There is no specific category of people that are immune to intimate partner violence. Number three, as a victim, take time to heal. Take some time to heal. Spend more time with your family, with your friends, with your loved ones, meditating, going to church if that is something that you do. But take some time to heal and just realize that the ordeal that you've gone through is not normal. It's not normal to be beaten. It's not normal to be, psychologically, mentally, or physically abused. That's not normal. And finally, my final tip for a victim of intimate partner violence is protect yourself at all times. Understand this. You can get restraining orders. You can get, protection orders. Some states call them peace bonds, but those orders in reality are just pieces of paper. Yes, they have enhanced penalties if the abuser, abuses you while under, or even contacts you in many cases while under these orders. But in the end, most of the time, law enforcement will not be there when you need them the most, when your abuser is violating this order. And so, saying that, get some type of training, whether it's unarmed combat, whether it's armed combat training. Get some type of training. It may involve firearms or some other type of weapon. Change your address if possible. Move out of the state if possible. Change your phone number, where you work. Protect yourself and or your family, friends, and loved ones at all times. You may not go to the extreme like Julia Roberts and fake your own death, but you have to remember that you have to protect yourself. If you're an abuser, the first thing that you need to understand is that you have some anger issues. You have anger issues, and those issues need to be dealt with. You have to get professional help. Many times abusers are victims of trauma themselves, and they pass that trauma on to their spouses, their significant others, their kids. They pass that trauma along. Get professional help for yourself. The second thing you can do as an abuser is make a conscious effort to change. You can't just say, oh, well, I'm not going to do that again, or I'm sorry I hit you, or, I'm sorry I did this to you or that to you, I'm going to do better. No, you have to make a conscious effort to change. Again, that goes to counseling, anger management, some type of professional help to get to the bottom of why you choose violence instead of peace, instead of talking things out. And then remember, finally, if you're an abuser, remember that you're only human. You're only a human being. We all make mistakes. But the thing about a mistake is you can learn from a mistake. Learn from your past. Learn from all those things that have happened to you in the past, or the things that you've done to other people to make them victims as well, and do better. It's as simple as that. Just do better. Be better. Be a better person instead of the abuser that everyone's trying to avoid, or everyone hates or loathes because they know, okay, well, here comes so-and-so, who have they beaten up today, who have they assaulted today. Don't be that person. By all means, just walk away. That's all you need to do, is just walk away and think about what you're going to do before you do it. Go to the movies, take a ride, go over a friend's house, go to the park, just do something, anything but become abusive. This concludes my discussion on domestic violence, walk away, domestic violence, or suffer in silence. Thank you, and have a safe day. And remember, there is no you, there is no me, there is only we, and we must stop the effing killing.